Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to see you here. Welcome to the press conference on yearly results of the European Investment Bank Group. I'm joined by the Group President, Nadia Calviño, as well as by a number of Vice Presidents of the Bank, Vice President Fayol, Bea, De Groot and Sakiris, and a number of senior colleagues running the main departments of the bank. I'm Matteo Maggiore. I'm the head of communication of the group. We will start with introductory remarks by the President, and then we will go into questions. All the figures will be available on the website today. So without further ado, President, the floor is yours.
Do I need to press anything? No, it's working. Okay. Good morning and welcome to the presentation of the EIB Group 2024 results. As you know, 2024 was also my first year as president of the EIB Group, and I'm really proud to report today on the excellent performance of the institution, which can be summarized with 3 Rs. Record figures in green finance, energy, higher risk investments and support to cohesion regions. We also doubled financing for security and defense. In parallel, we have been getting ready to support Europe's policies and priorities in this new political mandate by increasing our efficiency and our focus on impact. And thirdly, the EIB Group has become more relevant than ever as financial arm of the European Union, a key actor, really, at the center of all strategic discussions in Europe and globally. There's a strong momentum and a strong determination to boost Europe's competitiveness and security to ensure, at the end of the day, that we master our own destiny. And the EIB Group is playing its part with a proactive and ambitious approach in 2 areas: fostering market integration and mobilizing investment. So, record, ready and relevant, these 3 words can summarize our 2024 results. Let me get now into some details. We invested 89 billion euros in 2024, 90% of it inside the European Union, around 10% outside the EU, and with more than 14 billion euros invested through the European Investment Fund, which, as you know, is our subsidiary specializing in support to SMEs and startups through equity and guarantees. Our preliminary figures show that we have achieved this while remaining profitable and with a robust AAA rating, which allows us to leverage our capital and mobilize public and private investment in each and every EU country and across the world. Our number 1 priority, as you see on the screen, has been and is consolidating our role as the climate bank. We have all seen the growing cost of climate change reflected in catastrophic events like the ones recently suffered by my own country. And we've also seen that the returns of investment in this area are also increasing. Every euro invested in prevention and adaptation saves 5 to 7 euros in reconstruction and repairs. That is why the green transition has moved to a new phase. Building on statements and targets, the process is now led by new technologies and business cases. Climate and competitiveness are a winning tandem for Europe, and it is a no-brainer, really, that Europe needs to invest more in energy security to support the key sectors driving the green transition and supporting our most promising innovators developing the solutions of tomorrow. And that is why I am proud to report that for the first time, almost 60% of total group operations during 2024 were devoted to supporting the green transition. That's climate action, resilience and adaptation, as well as our energy security. Actually, as I already mentioned in my introductory words, during 2024, the EIB Group made record investments in energy. Through our support for infrastructures, grids and interconnectors, the deployment of renewables, innovative technologies such as green hydrogen, energy efficiency and storage, we estimate that our financing mobilized over 100 billion euros of additional investment for energy last year. One of the novelties of 2024 was the launch of the wind package, where we provide cross guarantees that make possible the deployment of wind power parks in Europe. And this mechanism, which can be a blueprint for further investments in clean industry, demonstrates the unique ability of the EIB Group to crowd in private capital for projects that make a difference. We're talking about the decarbonization of our industries, lower energy bills for our households and cheaper energy for our businesses, which are essential features for Europe's competitiveness and security. During 2024, we also stepped up our support for Europe's security and defence industry, doubling annual investment to 1 billion euros. Last year, as you know, we significantly extended eligible investments in dual-use projects and technologies to include border protection, military mobility, critical infrastructures, demining and decontamination, space, cybersecurity, anti-jamming technologies, military equipment and facilities open to civilian uses, drones, seabed infrastructure protection, and, of course, research. In December, the European Investment Fund signed the first deals under the new Defence Equity Facility with 2 venture capital funds. And the bank, the European Investment Bank, launched, in partnership with local banks throughout the EU, a new tailored programme for small and medium-sized companies across the security and defence supply chain. We are currently conducting the market test to assess whether further changes to our eligibility rules are needed. We also signed new agreements with the NATO Innovation Fund and the European Defence Agency that will help us find suitable projects at European level and increase our impact. And let me already signal that we plan to again double investment in security and defence in 2025, bringing it to a 2 billion euro record high. And I can also share with you that we are already looking closely at a pipeline of 14 concrete projects expected for approval in the coming months. These projects will be in areas such as aerospace, cybersecurity and quantum technologies, as well as civil protection. 2 final records to highlight from 2024. Last year, the EIB Group hit a record in higher risk operations, with 8 billion euros invested in equity and quasi-equity to mobilize 110 billion euros to support Europe's innovators. We're talking about health tech, advanced therapies against cancer and microbial resistance, green tech, deep tech, developing new materials for housing and industry. Much of this is channeled through the European Investment Fund that I already referred to. Actually, during 2024, the fund also made great progress in the development and deployment of the European Tech Champions Initiative. As you probably know, this initiative was launched barely 2 years ago, and it has already invested into 8 scale-up funds, financing 18 innovative startup companies to grow their business. And we expect that the 3 billion euros that have been initially allocated to this initiative will be fully invested in the course of the current year, in 2025. That's barely, as I was saying, 2 years after the launch of the initiative. Last record, the EIB Group signed 38 billion euros for projects in cohesion and transition regions, bringing opportunity where talent is in each and every region of the EU. And behind these impressive figures, there are projects that make a difference. Let me share with you the snapshot of some of the flagship operations the EIB Group signed last year in the EU. You can see in the map on the screen, support to Europe's wind industry. I already mentioned the wind package. That's a 5 billion euro guarantee package throughout the whole EU. Earth observation satellites for defence and civilian use in Poland. Decarbonizing short-haul aviation with small electric planes in Germany. A battery gigafactory in Dunkirk, France. Critical raw materials projects such as lithium production in Finland. Treating health disorders like Parkinson's disease with brain stimulation technology in Spain, affordable housing in Cyprus, recovery after the earthquake in Ischia, Italy, offshore wind in Denmark to provide enough green electricity for more than 1 million Danish households, 5G network connectivity across Sweden, electric trains in Lithuania, and the world's first zero-emission star factory in Romania, just to mention a few of the flagship investments in 2024. Now, moving beyond our borders, around 10% of our investments, I already said this, are outside the EU, contributing to a stronger Europe in a more peaceful, more stable, more prosperous and sustainable world. So, in full alignment with Europe's policies and priorities, we have contributed last year to reinforcing Europe's strategic alliances and partnerships with a strong focus in our neighbourhood. Our top priority was and continues to be support to Ukraine, with more than 2.2 billion euros already disbursed since the start of the war and more to come. Let me give you a sense of the impact of some of the investments that we made there last year. 9,000 residents in the city of Bucha are getting clean water. 5 EIB-supported schools opened. A children's infectious disease hospital department opened. 6 Ukrainian cities have new buses and trams financed by the EIB. Our 600 million euro Ukraine energy rescue plan is helping safeguard Ukraine's energy resilience in the course of the winter. Our support to the private sector has allowed Ukrainian banks to continue lending to the real economy, and also European companies are exporting to Ukraine thanks to the oversubscribed 300 million euro export credit guarantee that we have launched with the national export credit agencies. Very important activity in Ukraine last year. But besides Ukraine, we signed 128 projects last year outside the EU. Some examples are shown on the screen in front of you. In the Western Balkans, new railways in Montenegro. Financing for the main water conveyor between Aqaba and Amman in Jordan. Primary health investments and clean cooking devices across Africa. The urban rail in Bangalore, that's one of the 6 Indian cities where we support transport. In Barbados, the first ever debt for climate conversion for water infrastructures. We supported the delivery of over 650 million doses of polio vaccines to children around the world. We financed the energy interconnector between Ecuador and Peru to help expand and improve the reliability of electricity supply. In Cambodia, we are supporting sustainable agriculture. In Kiribati, in the Pacific, we're working with partners to build a new seaport. This is a small island state at the forefront of climate change. Just yesterday, we were meeting in Luxembourg the Prime Minister of Bhutan that was signaling the very important projects that we are also financing in this country. So a very important year for us in terms of operations outside the EU also. As I said, during 2024, we have also geared up the institutions so as to be ready for the new mandate. In my first year as president of the EIB Group, I visited the 27 member states, engaging with governments, local authorities, businesses, listening to citizens and civil partners to know what they were expecting from the EIB and what they are expecting from Europe. And this active engagement helped us to frame our strategic roadmap, built around 8 co-priorities endorsed by the EU member states, our shareholders, and we are on track to raise in the spring of this year the outdated limit on the EIB Group's investments, also supported by our shareholders. We have also made good progress in simplification and reduction of red tape, so that 40% of all projects now go through a simplified process, which involves much lower procedural burden and a shorter time to market. And we have also improved our governance, promoting transparency, accountability, integrity and well-being in the workplace. This week, we published the call for candidates for an EIB ombudsperson, one of the measures we had agreed with our staff representatives to set in motion to improve the working environment at the EIB Group. So breaking records, getting ready, and becoming even more relevant. Building on our very strong performance in 2024, we have all hands on deck to deliver an ambitious 95 billion euros investment target in 2025. We are mobilizing public and private financing with two keywords in mind, competitiveness and security, which I have already mentioned throughout my presentation. And during 2025, we will roll out initiatives aligned with the strategic priorities of the new European Commission, including the 60% green finance target, boosting support to leading technologies, including clean tech, artificial intelligence, chips, high performance and quantum computing, health sciences, and Europe's cutting-edge industrial capacity. Europe is a trade and innovation powerhouse. We are second to none when it comes to research facilities and universities. We have a vibrant ecosystem of startups. So with the right financing at the right time and a more integrated market, we can help ensure that this talent is scaled up, that innovation is scaled up, and that companies that are born in the EU can remain, grow, and prosper also in Europe. And that is why we are working together with the European Commission and the Member States on instruments to finance the whole cycle of businesses and innovation, from nurturing startups, helping them grow, to an exit platform to facilitate the listing of European companies in European markets, or the acquisition of these successful companies by other European companies. And this Capital Markets Union work stream includes the extension of the highly successful European Tech Champions initiative that I already mentioned, which will complete its investment, its initial capital allocation in 2025. As part of a broader goal to boost higher risk investments through equity and quasi-equity, so that's venture debt investment, to scale up Europe's innovative companies. We expect to further double annual investments in the EU's security and defence industry to a record 2 billion euros. We also expect investments in critical raw materials to double in the coming years. Building on the 3 billion euro facility to support agriculture and the broader economy, we're also exploring support to a pan-European insurance mechanism and other de-risking schemes. We are also working on a 2.5 billion euro program to scale up energy efficiency for Europe's small and medium-sized companies so they can lower their CO2 emissions and their electricity bills. We're working on a dedicated water program of around 4.5 billion euros to focus investment in flood resilience and to address water scarcity and intensifying droughts in Europe. We're working with the European Commission on a pan-European investment platform for affordable and sustainable housing. And we are, of course, focusing our strategies outside the EU to reinforce our alliances and partnerships around the world with a revamped strategy for EIB Global in line with Europe's priorities and, as I was saying, a sharpened focus on impact. Let me close in a nutshell to indicate that the EIB Group is ready to play an even more relevant role in 2025, contributing to the integration of our markets from energy to telecoms and capital, and mobilizing investment. We are a capital market union instrument, issuing bonds under a European signature to channel savings into pan-European investments, responding to common priorities. And therefore, we have been engaging since day one with the new European Commission to support its initiatives, from the competitiveness compass that was published just this week to the forthcoming omnibus bill that aims to simplify and streamline EU rules and regulations, especially when it comes to rules and regulations and reporting requirements. We need to make sure that our regulatory framework incentivizes green investments and makes the green transition a European success. We have every reason to be confident. I am. This was very much the message sent yesterday by Presidents von der Leyen and Costa. Our unity is our strength, And the EIB Group, which is a true success story of European unity, will continue to finance projects that make a difference on the ground for our citizens, our businesses, for a stronger Europe in a more prosperous, more sustainable, more peaceful world. Thank you very much. I'm ready to take your questions and looking forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, President. We're going to questions now. We're starting here. Please do introduce yourselves when you ask the question. Yeah, starting here.
Jarno Hartikainen, Helsingin Sanomat. Question on security and defense. So March last year, 14 heads of states asked for the expansion of EIB mandate, the mandate to be expanded from dual-use products to investments that serve purely military needs, so ammunition, tanks, whatever. This, although almost a year has passed and this has not happened, why is that? And personally, as the head of the institution, how do you are you willing to finance investment that serve purely military needs if this is the wish of the member states? Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for that question. I welcome the very strong support that we're getting from leaders throughout the whole EU for our approach in security and defence. And we are following the mandate from the prime ministers and heads of state to step up the EIB's support to Europe's security and defence industry while safeguarding our financing capacity. I am happy to report that only last week, in a public event, I got a very strong support and a very positive message from the Belgian Prime Minister and the Secretary General of NATO, fully supporting the approach of the EIB Group. Last year, we extended significantly our eligibilities. I mentioned already the sort of projects that we can and we are already financing, from the reinforcement of a port in Denmark so that NATO ships can come in, to satellite projects in Poland, Spain, in other countries. And we have launched a proactive roadshow. Let me say, this is the only area where the EIB is proactively launching a roadshow of the 27 member states to talk to defense ministries, to the financial sector and to the industry to identify where are the market gaps and where the European Investment Bank can really make a difference. And that is why in December we launched a new dedicated €1 billion facility to finance SMEs along the supply chain of Europe's defense constructors. And we are currently actually and constantly market testing with a view to see if any further alignment of adjustment of eligibilities would be needed. So, in a nutshell, we are absolutely fulfilling the mandate from the heads of state and government to step up the EIB support to Europe's security and defence industry while safeguarding our financing capacity.
Sorry, Paula first, and then we go to that line.
Thank you, Paula Tamon, the FT. Will you exclude changing the EIB's lending mandate to core defence project? Thanks.
Thank you very much. As I already indicated, we are fulfilling the mandate through stepping up our support to Europe's security and defence industry. Last year, we doubled our investments in security and defence to €1 billion. We expect this number to double in 2025. We are currently assessing 14 projects, which we expect to be approved in the coming months. The European Investment Fund is also engaging with different investment funds which are dedicated to the area of security and defence. And we will continue with a constant market test to identify where are the market needs and how the European Investment Bank Group can make a difference.
Yeah. Okay, can we continue there, please?
Thank you. Jan Disteldorf for Süddeutsche Zeitung. You have doubled your defense and security spending to 1 billion. You are going to double it this year to 2 billion. We're floating around, or ideas are being floated around about a 500 billion defense fund. The financing needs are immense. Looking at Germany alone, matching the NATO spending target means 75 billion a year. So why should we believe that this is a high level of ambition, spending 2 billion on defense?
Well, as I was saying a moment ago, last year, we conducted a very extensive roadshow. I mean, I have here the competent vice president responsible for the roadshow. Did you go to 15 countries, 17 countries? 15 countries, 17 countries. I think end of the year was 15, and you have done maybe a couple more this year. So we have gone to all member states that have subscribed to the letter your colleague was referring you to a moment ago. We have engaged with the ministries, we have engaged with the finance sector and with the industry to actually foster the pipeline of projects. And this proactive strategy of the EIB group is already showing a positive result in that we have a robust pipeline of 14 projects that we are currently assessing, and we hope to be approved in the coming months. I want to be very clear: we are not a defence ministry. We are Europe's investment bank, and we are fulfilling our mandate with a very proactive approach. This is the only sector where the EIB group has taken this extremely proactive approach. Constant market testing and identifying where are the needs, where the European Investment Bank Group can make a difference.
Okay, there was a question back there. I have to hop to the microphone, I'm afraid.
Hi, my name is Matthijs Schiffers, Het Financiële Dagblad. I have a question about affordable housing. How much of the 95 billion that you're planning to invest in 2025 is reserved for this category? And I also have a question about the taxonomy and the green asset ratio. There's a lot to do about this. You want to be a climate bank. If I'm right, the green asset ratio would only be 1% for the EIB. At least I've read something like that in the FT, I think. Have you published GER, the green asset ratio, in your results? I haven't seen that yet. And have you seen anything in the Compass proposal yesterday that addresses your issues with this green asset ratio? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think for the detailed questions on the different areas, I would encourage you to engage afterwards with the vice presidents and the DGs that can give you more detail on housing. We're currently working with the European Commission on how to reinforce our support to Europe's housing market, trying to ensure that we support investment into affordable, sustainable and also social housing. Of course, we are already quite active in this area and we expect to increase our investments. I think we can give you the details afterwards if I may ask colleagues to then engage with this journalist afterwards. Then thank you very much for your question on green reporting. I think there is a unanimous call for ensuring that our rules and regulations, our transparency requirements, foster green investments. As the Climate Bank, we really want to have a regulatory framework that encourages green investments inside the Union, outside the Union, support to also the public sector conducting these green investments. There is a unanimous call for a recalibration of existing rules and regulations as reflected in the letter that we submitted together with the national promotional banks, the largest European national promotional banks, which has given the Commission concrete proposals so that there are adjustments and that the detailed regulations are recalibrated with a view to making sure that they encourage these green investments. And I look forward to the simplification omnibus that will come end of February, I think. We are engaging constructively with the European Commission to make sure that these detailed rules and regulations are fit for purpose, fit for purpose to make sure that we achieve the goals of the green transition and that we make the green transition a European success.
There's a question back there, and then here, and then there. And then we got that.
Sabina Rosetta, so thanks for the floor. I'm terribly sorry, but I may have not understood your answer. Do you think there is a possibility to change the mandate in investing in core defense project? Thank you.
Thank you very much for repeating the question 3 times. And so that allows me to repeat that since last year, the European Investment Bank Group has taken a very proactive and ambitious stance to stepping up its support to Europe's security and defence industry while safeguarding our financing capacity. And that is why we significantly extended our eligibilities for investment 1st of May last year, so that now we can finance border protection, military mobility, military buildings and equipment, demining, decontamination, space, anti-jammers, quantum technologies, etc. Last year, we doubled investments to 1 billion euros. We expect to double it to 2 billion euros in the current year. There are 14 projects which are currently being assessed in the areas of cybersecurity, if I remember well, quantum computing, space, and civil protection. And we are conducting a constant market test to identify what are the needs. This is what led us last December to launch a 1 billion euro dedicated facility to provide finance to the SMEs in the pipeline, in the supply chain of Europe's large security and defence contractors. And we are currently doing this market test to see if there are further adjustments needed to our eligibility rules, so that we make sure that we have a good understanding of what are the market needs and where the European Investment Bank Group can make a difference.
Continue left to right. There was a hand there. No?
From the Spanish news agency EFE. On simplification, what is the EIB exactly expecting from the omnibus proposal? Some organizations fear that a simplification actually lead to deregulation that would actually harm the Green Deal objectives. What's your take on that? And a question on Spain, if I may, and apologies if the figures have already been published, but could you tell us how much of the investment of 2024 went to Spain and how it features among all the other countries? Thank you.
As I mentioned a moment ago, there is, I think, unanimous, a total consensus on the need to simplify the rules and reduce red tape in Europe, including in the area of green reporting standards and rules and regulations. I think we have every interest to ensure that these rules are recalibrated so that they are fit for purpose and they encourage green investments inside and outside the EU, while, of course, preserving and making sure that we achieve the goals of the Green Deal. And the proposals that we have submitted together with the largest European national promotional banks are going in this direction, to recalibrate the detailed rules and requirements and reporting requirements while reinforcing our commitment to achieving the objectives of the green transition and making the green transition a European success. As I said in my introductory remarks, climate and competitiveness are 2 elements of a winning tandem for Europe. And so we need to make sure that our rules and regulations are fit for purpose. Let me just give you an example, maybe also to reply to a previous colleague that had posed a question. Let me give you an example of why these current rules and reporting requirements do not respond to the business model of national promotional banks and the European Investment Bank. They exclude financing to sovereigns, financing to SMEs, and financing outside the Union. You have just heard my presentation of what are the activities of the European Investment Bank in 2024. So we need to make sure that indicators, reporting requirements, etc., do reflect actual green investments that are supported by the financial sector. We need to create the incentives for green finance. And maybe a final word also on reporting. Let me tell you, the European Investment Bank is subject to the highest standards when it comes to green reporting. We do extensive reporting. I would really invite you to engage with my colleagues here that can give you details and direct you towards the detailed reports that we publish in this regard. And our numbers are audited by an independent top rating agency. So that's also, I think, a sign of our very strong commitment to consolidating our role as the climate bank. Y con respecto a su pregunta sobre los resultados o la actividad del Banco Europeo de Inversiones en España, vamos a organizar una presentación dedicada en Madrid el día 17 de febrero. 19 de febrero, así que les invito al cuerpo de periodistas españoles a asistir a esa presentación dedicada en Madrid, pero ya le puedo adelantar que el año pasado el Banco Europeo de Inversiones logró un récord de inversiones en España con 12.300 millones de euros invertidos en nuestro país, contribuyendo a consolidarlo como el país de las renovables y apoyando todos aquellos proyectos que aumentan la productividad y la competitividad, por supuesto, de la economía. Pero I think the detailed numbers will be circulated today now to all of you, so we can get into the details and you can ask the questions after this press conference. Thank you.
We're gently coming to close to the end of the time. The gentleman in the green jacket, and then you. That's all right. And
hello, thank you. Beda Romano, Il Sole 24 Ore. You discussed about defense and you mentioned the fact that you need to preserve the stability of the bank. You also said that you would be spending twice as much this year compared to last year. Do you have targets in mind of how much you can spend in defense without putting at risk the mandate and the stability of the bank? Thank you.
Thank you very much. As you know, our activity is driven by the demand that exists, the projects that are coming to us to look for financing. And that is why we have taken this very proactive approach, doing a roadshow. This is the only area where we are doing a roadshow, visiting the 27 member states, engaging actively with the industry to encourage and to identify, to scout the possible projects that could reinforce Europe's security and defence industry. And that is why I was referring to a robust pipeline of 14 projects which are going on. Let me just highlight, that we are proactive. We are proactive in this area. We are trying to be ahead of the curve. We are trying to identify the relevant projects, prepare the financial instruments, be ready to step up our support when the market needs are identified, and seeing where the European Investment Bank Group can make a bigger difference and have most value added. And we will continue on the same track.
Now you got the gentleman there, and then the lady in blue.
Yes, President. Detlef Fechtner, Börsenzeitung, German Financial Daily. I have a question on competitiveness compass and your role in it. Do you plan to have new financial instruments, new strategies, new formats of financing, equity-based or with first loss elements or something? Or is this just more of the same that you plan to fill up your role? Thank you.
Yes, thank you for that question. The second area of priority for us is what we call Tech EU. How to support Europe's innovators, how to foster the technological leadership of Europe in areas where we are second to none, as I mentioned a moment ago, from clean tech to health tech. And we're currently working closely with the European Commission to see how we can step up our current support. I already mentioned that in 2024 we hit an all-time record of higher risk activities with 8 billion euros in equity and quasi-equity investments, which have mobilized more than 100 billion euros of support for Europe's innovators. We are currently working with the Commission to see, how we can scale up this support to Europe's the technologies of the future, Europe's leadership in the technologies of the future. And we have a very strong basis on which to build, as I also indicated a moment ago, as Europe continues to be leading in terms of research centres, universities. We have a vibrant ecosystem of startups. So with fostering market integration and mobilizing investment, we can scale up these capabilities and strengthen the leadership of Europe in this area.
Good. Madam?
There is a gentleman there.
Yeah, hello, Maria Vassiliou, Greek newspaper Tandea. Apologies, I will insist a bit more on defense and security. In the meetings you have in the country, in the member states, in the meetings you have with the industry, what is the message? That what you're doing is enough, or they are asking you to do even more? Another question on the gear ratio. Are you expecting the whole process to conclude smoothly? And the additional funds that you will have the possibility to have because of the change in the gear ratio, are these funds already included in the amount of the 95 billion you are going to invest next year, or should we expect even a higher total number? One more question on Trump, if I may. Do you think that the Trump election will influence the business of the EIB in any way? Because, as I understand, the US is cutting down on foreign aid, so probably that may be an opportunity for the EIB to step in and strengthen its role around the world. And one last question on Greece, if you have the number, what did you invest in Greece last year, and how do you rate this investment? Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Let me look for the number. So, thank you. List of questions. So, what message do we get when we? As I said a moment ago, I really welcome the strong support that we are getting from finance ministers, from prime ministers, from presidents and other leaders, of strong support to our proactive approach to step up Europe's security and defence industry while preserving our financing capacity. This very strong support we get in our bilateral meetings, and I got publicly last week in a public event from the Secretary General of NATO and the Prime Minister of Belgium, which I think just reflects the message that we systematically get from political leaders in Europe. And we have a constant dialogue with industry. So I was saying we are actually proactively organising a roadshow to proactively engage with Europe's industrial players, large and small, so that we can identify the financing needs. And when we identify the need to support Europe's SMEs in the value chain of the large security and defence contractors, we launched last December already a dedicated facility to provide the necessary financing. We are being proactive and we are being agile to adjust our instruments and our framework so that we can step up our support to Europe's security and defence industry while safeguarding our financing capacity. And that's why I was saying we are fully fulfilling the mandate from our shareholders, the member states. Secondly, on the gearing ratio, yes, I expect to have a smooth finalization of the process in the spring of this year so that the previously outdated limit to our balance sheet is removed. And our group operational plan for this year that I mentioned is compatible with the ongoing process. And we have foreseen that we will do a midterm review, as is done every year. But this year there will be a midterm review in the middle of the year, so that our operational plan can integrate any further proposals or initiatives. For example, the Take EU initiative that we were just referring about and that we're working on together with the European Commission. Regarding the new US administration, I think the United States is a strategic partner of the EU. Our transatlantic relation is a strategic relation for the EU, and we have a shared interest on both sides of the Atlantic to find constructive outcomes, win-win solutions, and to continue to foster prosperity and peace throughout the world. And from this point of view, the message that both Presidents von der Leyen and Costa also shared yesterday is very much aligned, I think, with the idea that Europe will stand firm on our values, our principles, and our role throughout the world as a trade powerhouse, as an innovation and technology powerhouse, and as a strong supporter of the multilateral system. this global order, rules-based global order that has served so well the European Union, guaranteeing peace and prosperity for the last 80 years. And that is the approach that has been signalled by the European institutions, and I'm sure that Europe will continue to play this role and continue to be a reference, a beacon of freedom, right protection, protection of minorities, and also contribution to development and sustainability throughout the world. In July, there will be a very important conference, Finance for Development, fostered by the United Nations in Spain. And we are working together with the multilateral development institution community and with the member states to see how Europe can make an important contribution in this regard. And your final question, but I wouldn't like to engage now in delivering the numbers for each of the countries. So if I can invite you to talk to the colleagues and engage afterwards. Thank you.
Yeah, as you said, President, the conversation can continue off the record after the end of the presser. Please, one last question.
Thank you. Simon van der Ruppe for Follow the Money. A question about the governance of the EIB. So 6 out of 10 management committee members who've left the bank in the past 5 years have been criticized over conflicts of interests, with several of them having joined the boards of the companies for which they had approved loans in their capacity as vice president. The European Parliament, European Ombudsman and the EIB's own audit committee have denounced that the EIB's president and vice presidents are responsible for projects in their home countries. How do you view this issue personally? And if I may, a related question is Germany's Court of Auditors last year called for external banking supervision over the EIB. Some are speaking about ECB supervision. Are you open to such supervision, and have you discussed this with the board of directors? Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for this question. 1 year into the job and having a 30-year-long career of experience in large institutions and close contact to large financial institutions in particular, what I can say is the EIB group meets the highest standards of transparency, accountability, governance, even regulation when compared to other public financial institutions and large international financial institutions. In our institution, there is a unanimous commitment to constantly review our rules and governance structures and to improve our efficiency and our working environment. During 2024, we have launched a 14-point action plan precisely to improve the working atmosphere, improve further the working atmosphere, a plan which was agreed with the staff representatives, agreed with them, and that we are putting in motion. One of the elements of that plan is precisely the recruitment of an ombudsperson, and we have already published the call for candidates, and I hope very soon to be able to find the best person for the job. We are constantly, as I said a moment ago, reviewing our rules, and there is a unanimous, a very strong commitment to the highest standards when it comes to compliance, accountability, transparency, as I said, supervision, indeed. You know, that we have a supervisory team working with us, which I very much support and is doing an excellent job. We are supervised, our liquidity, by the Luxembourg banking authorities, and we are subject to the best banking practices as adjusted to the specificities of the bank. So, again, let me just repeat, I think, and with the experience of knowing a lot of large institutions and comparing with our peers, the large international financial institutions, I can only say the EIB is meeting the highest standards in this area.
Thank you very much, President, and thank you all. I think we've come to the end of the time we had today. As we said, as the President indicated, we can continue off the record informally if there are additional questions. But for the moment, I wish you an excellent rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you, President.
Thank you. Just could I just a moment? I would like to do two things. Just a moment, Matteo. I would like to do two things. First, I would like to thank wholeheartedly the communication team led by Matteo for the organization of this event. It's my first press conference to present the results. I know it's been, a lot of, you can imagine there's been a lot of PowerPoint and this and that, and I'm very grateful to the team that is behind the screen and back in Luxembourg and here in the Brussels office that have really done a great job in preparing this presentation. And let me also say a word of thanks from my heart to the team, my vice presidents, an excellent team, also the directors generals, the rest of colleagues that are here today. I don't know, could we have them up here and we take a group photo, if there would be a photographer somewhere, so that we can, yeah, okay, thank you very much, and we continue the conversation.